And I'm pretty sure our next guest is ready to roll. I'm pretty sure this is her. So let's take a shot at this. Is this... Wrong button. Is this the one and the only... I don't know. She could be so many different names.
It's the president of the Bay fan club.
Can she sing Hello Bay for me?
Hello Bay. Hi,
what's going on?
It's so nice to hear you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. I've been having such a nice time listening to you and Kristen. You guys can gas back. You know everything.
I don't know nothing. I can just say yes a lot.
No, it was really fascinating. I'm having a lot of fun. I got to say, I love your show. Ever since you invited me on, I've been checking you out on Thursday nights.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Wow,
well, I feel like really, I really enjoy it. And I just love the scope of your show. I mean, you really cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, I was saying, you wanted to know what you were getting yourself involved in.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, I know you from a completely different lifetime. And I'm just so proud of you. And being voted, in the running for the best DJ in Philly, I think we have to have, everybody listening must vote. Come on. Right, you can vote right now. Just go to the homepage.
Absolutely.
Totally Driven TV. See?
I'm getting endorsed by Duff. Life is complete right now.
So thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell you what. First off, it's scary. It really is because, I was diagnosed earlier this year with sarcoidosis. So this disease that we have been graced with, it's something that people really obviously don't either know of or about. And, I since I was diagnosed earlier this year, I come on here week in, week out and bitch and complain when I can. And, going to doctors, I really learning or finding out much. So I started joining these groups on Facebook, and I've learned so much more out of these groups than I have actually from my doctors, which is kind of scary. But someone had posted, I guess it was about 6 weeks ago, a clip of you talking about it. And I had no idea. And it was one of them things, and I hate to say, where have you been? And I was like, oh, crap, now I know. And I was like, I have to see if I can find her and get her on the show. And I reached out, and boom, you answered instantly. And we just started talking. And then it turned into a really small world because you come down to my neighborhood from time to time for your son's hockey at times.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, right at the rink in Aston. I go to the Chick-fil-A and Chicky and Pete's. So that's what was so funny. I was like, oh, yeah, you want me to be on your show? I can come right there. It's funny. I'm a hockey mom. And, it's interesting what you said. So, Bay, what did you think with these groups, with Facebook groups, was it spooky? Because I think sometimes it can be a little bit of a downer, and I'm glad to hear that has not been your experience. Am I right with that?
No,
that's great.
It is a downer because, I mean, at times it's very enlightening, and you see positive things or people just being positive and trying to spread that positive message. But there's times where people in there are, it's like stay away. And actually, my wife joined a lot of these groups as well, and we've talked about it. And she kind of has the same thing. You feel so bad for these people because they're in a lot worse shape than I am. And you're seeing what they go through, and your heart just breaks. And they're, the one thing I really truly learned from this is it truly affects each person different. And
exactly.
That's the scary part. There's no rhyme or reason why it affects each person different, and there's no answer, which is even worse.
I know. Well, I'm very proud of the work that the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research does, and it's really it's all research, and they're incredible. So a great resource for you and your listeners. And what I think what's so important, when let's see, 1 out of 3 Americans lives with some sort of chronic illness. And since we are almost, I feel like, we are like sarcoidosis relations. I mean, I feel like we're all part of the same family.
Right.
And when you're living with a tough illness, I think it's important, absolutely, to find your community, find your people. And I think that everybody needs their own personal motto on how they're going to be sick. And I think my motto about living with sarcoidosis is, it's a mistake to do nothing just because you can only do a little bit. And sarcoidosis does take the wind out of my sails, and chronic pain is probably my biggest issue. But on the days that I am up, I am squeezing as much fun out of life as I can. And I think maybe another motto is like, do what you love and lots of it. And it sounds like that's what you're doing with, your entire empire that you're running in Aston with Totally Driven. You're doing what you love and lots of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, and I've kind of like. Now, I just finished reading the book before we went on the air, and one of the things that you talked about in the book and that you do is you are very into your doctors, and you have your doctor who is like I think you refer to him as almost like a husband, second husband, and
yeah, he's my team captain. Mm-hmm.
Right, but you are all about, like, you take your medicine and your condition. I remember I said when I started reading it last week, I think I got to about page 12, and I sent my co-host Nick a message, and it was just like, I got nothing, because your situation is so much worse than mine. Like, I have no reason to say a word, because it's just, you know what I mean?
You know what, Bay? I know, but you know what? We can't, listen, we all experience sarcoidosis differently, and also like just because somebody else may be worse, that whatever you're going through, that is valid and needs to be honored. And one of the hard things, Bay, is with an invisible illness, there's a lot of shame, because maybe life didn't turn out the way we expected, and we have to maybe shift our goals and how we're going to achieve these goals. But I've just realized that pain is inevitable. We will all at some point be in pain, but suffering is optional. So you can live in pain and not suffer. And that's the way I'm looking at it. And my book is called Backbone. And it's about living in chronic pain without turning into a chronic pain in the butt. And I wanted to write a book on the subject of pain that was not painful to read. I wanted Backbone to be a book that you could just pick up and pretty much shoot for a laugh on every page, and then just fill it with crazy graphics, and just make a book for sick people and for people who have a sick sense of humor. Both of them. Which
you totally do. Like, I kept thinking to myself, like, did she ever do stand-up? Did she ever want to do stand-up? Because the jokes are cracking through the whole thing. At times I'm shaking my head. I'm like, she is a freaking trip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I actually did do stand-up in college, and then when I went and had my first career working at a nursing home, I call bingo, and pretty much that, like, working with Alzheimer's patients is almost like a continual open mic night, because you're always trying to inspire people and, your patients, and you're always trying to get them to get engaged into something, like painting or, dancing, reading, anything just to get moving and maybe to take the focus off our illness and onto something else. But how are you feeling, Cookie? Are you feeling all right? How's it going?
Let's see. Well, it's day by day, and
yeah,
today,
I understand that.
Today, tired and very painful. And
yeah.
Here's my situation. Like, my normal day job, I work in the car business, and I sell cars at a little used car lot outside of Philadelphia. And today I had to deal with a woman who came to buy. She wanted to buy this big lifted truck for her 19-year-old son, his first real car.
I was just looking at it. I'm not kidding.
Well, she
Is it the white one?
The white one, yes. And she's
okay. I just saw it on your website.
she's underneath the truck, and she's like, look, it's rusted, and she's climbing on this little lady. She's climbing. She's from Hungary, and she's in her accent. She's hollering at me with the rust, and she's under there, and she's flicking it, and I'm like, no. She's like, well, get under here and look, and I'm like, oh, lady, you are killing me. And now I'm down there on my hands and knees and climbing under this truck, and then I'm like, oh shit, how am I getting up? Like, I can't ask this lady to help pull me up. So, yeah. So, but I got up, and yeah, I didn't
Good
make
for you.
Well, but that's day in and day out. Some days it's painful.
Exactly.
Some days it's not. Some days I'm more tired than some days, but I'm here. I'm talking to you, and I'm being educated.
And you're doing what you love, and lots of it, and that's what's great. And what I think is, in my book I talk about how the weird thing about pain is that pain kind of destroys language. Like, when we're happy, we're like, awesome, red, amazing. Like, or if we're sad, you're like, we can weave a tapestry of profanity. But when we try and talk about pain, it's just like, oh, we're pretty much, our vocabulary is really contracted. And I think that by talking about our situations, we're taking the shame away. I mean, it is embarrassing to have a chronic illness, and I think it's amazing. And thank you very much for sharing your story, because somebody will be listening, and this may be just exactly what they need to hear. So I think it's important that every day, like, just figure out, like, just try and just make one step towards giving yourself a good life. And a lot of that is self-care, when you're running a business and taking care, and you've got a family and you've got a chronic illness, you can really wear yourself down. So it's important when you do get tired to rest, because we're going to be tired more often. And so it's, just treat, I like to say this, Bay, like, treat yourself the way you'd want, the way you treat a friend. Because often we treat our friends with kindness, but then hold ourselves to different standards. So be a friend to yourself. And when you're feeling low, when you need a rest, it's all right. Maybe just take it easy a little bit.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, like, again, reading the book, a lot of one of the big things that really stood out, and I struggle with this every day, and you talked about getting dressed and dressing to make yourself feel good. Don't dress like, the way you feel. And I'm the person that, putting on, I sell cars in usually like concert shirts, and it's November and it's cold out. I'm still wearing shorts and Chuck Taylors, and that's I'm not your normal car salesperson. So, but that's because I'm just, I just throw on what's going to make me feel comfortable, and I don't dress to make myself feel better.
Yeah, and sometimes that may help. I mean, and I'm not saying, we've got to put on 3 pairs of Spanx and cashmere socks. I mean, I'm just saying, like, what about what's your favorite concert T-shirt that you have? Is there a particular one that you love? Is it the Sabbath one you got from Ozzy? Or, wear what your favorite. Whatever makes you feel good will make you feel, I think, a little bit more confident. And when you see your reflection in the mirror, that might just give you a little bit of a lift, One of my favorite philosophers is this guy, Epictetus. And he said, know first who you are and adorn yourself accordingly. So you know who you are, and you know what you like. And then, when you get dressed today, like certain, like, things just hurt me, or I don't have feeling in my hand, so it's hard for me to do buttons. But I think you can have a style for your illness, and that goes beyond, how we dress. Maybe it's also our attitude, Now,
before you were diagnosed, did you realize that there was something wrong?
I did, but I didn't know what it was. And I remember I was actually on the set of Dumb and Dumber, and I was wearing sunglasses. And I was like, oh, these really are poking me in the neck. And I was aware, like, wow, that really hurts. And so probably for about maybe a year and a half, I was usually with headaches, like I'm a carrier. I give them. I normally don't get them. And but I just had a headache, and it wasn't nonstop, but I was aware. I was like, wow, maybe something's pressing. I did finally, when the pain became unbearable, I did go, but it still took 2 more years for a diagnosis. Now, were you able to get your diagnosis? Were they able to do a biopsy, or did they just tell you what you had? Or
no, it was a biopsy, and it actually, like, I was having issues for like 5-6 years, and I kept going. Yeah, I kept going to doctors, and I kept going to my family doctor, and he kept sending me to pulmonary doctors, and every time they just said, you know what, it's your weight, lose weight. I even had one doctor say, you know what, you're just too fat, lose weight. I'm like, okay, so I was just like, yeah, you know, and I would get on and start a new diet.
That's not fair either. I mean, I have a big thing in my book about that, because I feel that you're being almost profiled in a way, and that is unkind, and that is victim blaming, you know, and saying, you know, oh, it's because you're weight, or it's because, you know, you eat like an unsupervised teenager. I mean, I hear it too. You know, often that's not the best way to deal with a patient, is maybe just listen to them, and rather than just blaming what's obvious, you know, what's visible. But I've got to say, it's so great. I mean, you haven't let this obstacle hold you back. And I give you a lot of credit, Bay. I mean, it's important. You've got to run towards life. This is the only one we get. And it's important to, you know, still, you know, keep going after our dreams. So I think that's really, it's a real credit that you've, you know, created this totally driven empire.
Well, how about you? Like, do you think, like, was your personality, like, really always truly like this to take on this battle? I mean, because you truly had a battle with this.
You know, I think I would say I'm perhaps more patient now that I've been living with the chronic illness for you know, over 15 years, almost 20 years. One of the things you know, in writing Backbone is the trouble with, you know, memoirs about chronic illness is that sometimes they can sound like we're trying too hard to inspire you. And, you know, sometimes these books can read more inspirational than believable, because I don't always think that a catastrophic illness has to be equated with a great spiritual awakening. Sometimes a catastrophic illness just sucks, you know? And so I think my attitude has been fairly resilient. I mean, listen, I was, you know, my job was I worked at a nursing home. I called bingo. I'd be like, B9, Mrs. You know, I'd call the bingo numbers. I hope your tumor's B9. And I would make little jokes and get everybody all riled up. And but I think maybe because I had the confidence, because I thought I was a good recreational therapist, that I just, you know, one day I was like, MTV I was watching, I think, gosh, that looks like an easy job. You know, my job is like, I'm working at a nursing home, like, you know, like getting people in and out of bed and all these, it was really hard. And I was like, that MTV looks like a cakewalk. But yeah, you know, when we're all watching MTV, everyone's always talking back to the screen. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just make a video and see what happens. So I made a cheese ball video and sent it in to MTV. And literally one day I was calling bingo and running the Frank Sinatra appreciation club, and the next day I was at MTV, and I kept my job at the nursing home for a full year, and then kept volunteering. Because I just felt like I snuck into a party, and I was just waiting for them to throw me out. But I think I always was ready to take risks. And I think one of the things I think about in my book is that, there's pain that hurts you, and then pain that changes you. And what you and I live with is chronic pain. And that's the pain that changes you. And as I said, I understand that we'll all live in chronic pain. We can choose not to suffer. Yeah, I may live in pain, but I'm not suffering. I'm enduring. I'm sticking it out. I mean, did you read that Duff McKagan book? What was it? He read this great book, and I remember he was saying that after he got sober, he felt like he'd been abusing his body so much with drugs and drinking and catting around that he just felt like, he could have died. He couldn't be here. And that when he got sober, he felt like it was extra innings. And in a way, I feel like, well, I know what I have, and I know the best way I can try and treat myself. But I feel like I'm really enjoying these extra innings of my life. Hey, it's free baseball.
Free baseball is a good thing. We can use as many extra innings as we're getting. Exactly. Now the one thing too, and I was going to touch on it earlier, was prednisone.
Yes.
Yeah, and you mentioned quite a few times in there how you take your prednisone and all, and I was on it a few times, and I felt great for a few days, and as I'm weaning off after a 10-day, 14-day cycle, whatever it is, and then it comes back to reality. And when I went back, as a matter of fact, last month, he was like, you want to go back on? I'm like, no, no, I'm tired of I'm done taking all the medicine. Like I just want to deal with it now. I'm tired of I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just very frustrated.
I know. It's funny. If you Google prednisone is the devil, you will see 300 million hits. So you know what? We are not alone. Prednisone is a tough drug to take, but I have it in my bathroom, and I'm probably going to have to start taking it again next week. And it does work. It's amazing with anti-inflammatories and the properties that it has. And when I take it, now I take it I'll take thousands of milligrams a day, and I swell up like a Macy's Day balloon. And then the indignity of it all. So because I was on chemo, so I lost I lost my my black hair on my head, but then I grew a mustache. So I could have been the only Revlon model that could have done an aftershave commercial. So, because prednisone definitely gives you a lady mustache, and then it you can get that like the Cushing syndrome and the weight gain and the mood swings. I am more like Oscar Madison. Definitely, Oscar Madison is my spirit animal. But when I'm on prednisone, all of a sudden I turn into Felix Unger. I want to be on time. I want to be clean. I mean, I'm insufferable. But you know what? My house is clean when I'm on prednisone. I'm definitely, and I'm on time.
Now, how about depression? Have you had bouts of depression over the years with this, or?
That's a great question, and absolutely. People who live in chronic pain are 35 times more likely to be depressed. And you know why? Because it hurts. Chronic pain hurts. So absolutely I have, gone through times where I really did not know, how am I going to get through this next day?
Right.
And one of the great things that I've learned, and, in, writing Backbone, I spent time, I took a course to become a hospital chaplain. Like, I really wanted this book to be thoughtful. And one of the best books in my life that I've ever read is called Viktor Frankel's Man's Search for Meaning. And you probably read it in junior high, but it's a great book. It is the that I love, and the book that I love to give. And he's a Holocaust survivor. He was a neurologist, a psychologist, and he believes, Viktor Frankel's thesis is that when we are useful, that is when we feel the best. And so, working, for these years, creating this book, I feel like this is my offering to my brothers and sisters who have sarcoidosis or chronic pain or any other chronic illness. I wanted to share a bit of what I've learned. And here's the thing too, Bay, is that you become what you think about the most. And if you think, poor me, I've got a chronic illness, I lost my job, I lost my health, I lost a lot. And I figured I have a choice. And my choice is I can be useful or useless. And my choice is I could be angry for what I've lost or be grateful for what I have. So I've really tried to remind myself that I do have a lot to be grateful for, and that I really try and stick to being as useful as I can. And that really, really, that helps me get through the really dark times. And community too, like what you were saying with the community groups that have been so helpful for you.
Yeah, and something too you point out in your book too that's sounds like it's something that we all go through, but it is helped and hurt at the same time, and that's friends / family, the friends and family that are there for you and want to be there for you and help you through that, and the ones that just don't understand and become more of a trouble than what it's worth.
Exactly. Well, you tell me who they are, and I'll give them a knuckle sandwich. But you know what's tough, Bay, is like we have an invisible illness, right? It's inside us, and so we know what we're going through. But our coworkers and our family, I mean, I hear this all the time. Like this buddy of mine, he's just like, he's lost, he can't work, and I can't drive anymore. And we've lost a lot. And what I feel really compassionate is that his family, like his mother and father, just his wife, like they just don't understand or actually believe him. And this is a guy who's dealing with a really, really tough illness. So I think that that's important is, how not to be a jackass is a really good thing to learn to people who are not feeling well. Yes, just don't be a jackass, I think, it was funny when I was listening to you earlier and you were telling that beautiful, very touching story, very sad story about your friend who lost his son to an overdose. And you just said, you just saw his whole demeanor change and you didn't know what to say. And, that's okay. I mean, I'm a grief counselor. I'm a recreational therapist and hospital chaplain. And so, we don't have to be skillful and know exactly what to say. But the one thing that put in your pocket that seems to work for me is when somebody's having a tough time, is just say, I'm here if you need me. And I found that to really be the most effective thing to say when, you're dealing with somebody who's grieving or somebody who's dealing with, any sort of pain.
Yeah, I think that saying right there to somebody, when you say it and truly mean it, is priceless.
I'm sorry, honey?
when you say that to somebody and truly mean it, it's just something that's priceless.
Yes, absolutely. It's so important, and we have to, we don't need to, have the answers. I think just saying, like, you know what, I'm your friend, and I'm listening to you, and I'm here. And, a lot of times, like, when somebody's not feeling well or somebody's in the hospital, and our reaction is, okay, tell me, what can I do? And in a way, that's putting the burden on the sick person. So it might be a good idea, like, hey, can I drag out your garbage cans tonight? Does your shovel need walking? Do you need me to pick up, a 50-gallon drum of cat litter? Like, just things that we can be of service. Just find it. And I think maybe one way is to think, like, what would you like? Like, if somebody said, would you come over and help me drink out of my tequila fountain? I would be like, yes, that's exactly what I would want to do.
Don't have to twist my arm, right?
Yeah.
Now, something too, with sarcoidosis, kind of like the face, for me at least, early on of sarcoidosis was Bernie Mac. And,
yes.
And somehow I had the brilliant idea. It was on one of them autopsy shows on one of the networks, and they were doing him. And I watched it, like you said earlier, a jackass, and I got so depressed afterwards. It was so depressing. But did you know Bernie at all? Did you?
I did. Met him because he did those Oceans movies with George Clooney, who's a buddy. And I mean, he steals the show on those movies. And I will tell you, Bernie Mac, his family, they have left a legacy of unbelievable research, and he left a foundation and an endowment, which is just so incredible. So, I couldn't watch one of those autopsy shows. I'm way too squeamish. But I will let you know that he is such he gave so much, back to us, and he's been great. And there's I don't know if you know that hip hop band Bones Thugs and Harmony. Crazy Bones has sarcoidosis, and Bill Russell, the NBA great, so they're all out and talking about sarcoidosis at the Foundation for Sarcoidosis Research.
Oh wow! Okay.
And listen, that's a great site. It's fantastic. They do unbelievable, great work, and what's amazing too is, like, Bay, we met through Twitter, and so if you're having a bad day, sometimes you can be reach out to one of these guys and say I'm here for you if you ever need me. And I think that's what's really a bright side about having a community of like-minded people, because we all can help each other out.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And reading your book, I mean, honestly, it's funny. It's enlightening. I don't know how the hell you know all these quotes and can keep them soaked into your brain, because it was mind-blowing to me. It's all I kept saying to myself is, how do you do it? And then you even say you read nonstop. And actually, my co-host Nick, I was messaging him and I was saying, I'm like, as I was reading it, I kept saying, Nick has to read this, because he's one for books and reading lots of books as well. And your sense of humor, I think, would really crack him the hell up too. So Nick,
I would love that. Well, what's interesting, fellas, is that we forget 80% of what we've learned the day before. And so one of the ways that, you can try and remember is by making little, like, first of all, writing everything down. That is really important. And also, you know, when you go to the doctors, it's really important too to, like, a lot of times doctors' visits are so, you know, you're getting the bum's rush and you've waited a long time and, you know, you're in a room with cranky people. So it's great to have, I just keep a little reporter's notebook in my bag, in my pocket, and write down things that I've been thinking about, maybe different, you know, side effects, symptoms that are bugging me, and so that always helps too. So writing things down will help you remember things and help you manage your illness a little bit better.
Yeah, that speaks volumes, because it's funny because now I actually do that with not just everything, but for doctor's appointments, big time. I've actually started writing down my questions, because actually I go to a therapist once a week, and she was like, you really need to start writing this stuff down. Like, you need to prepare yourself when you're going to the doctors. I was just going in, you know, if it wasn't for my wife, because she's like literally my pit bull attack dog with my doctor, does a lot of questions for me. But and I just kind of sit there with a dumb look on my face, like, okay. But now I am actually going in there with my little list of notes as well. And now here's something too. Like, did you go? Because this is something I've gone through recently, where a lot of my family was like, "You need to get a second opinion." I'm like, they did a biopsy. Like, they know what I have. Like, a second opinion on what? They're like, just get a second opinion. So I went and did the second opinion thing, and yeah, okay, I have it, but it was like now they want to do like different round of treatment, and I'm just like, no, like, I don't want to go back. I don't want. It's going to be the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so did you kind of go like that too?
You know what, dude? I kind of felt like I was really sick, so, and was immobilized, and I wasn't that attached to what I knew I was sick. What the name of it really didn't bother me. Like, I was hoping it was sarcoidosis, because that just seemed the one that I knew the least about, and I figured, well, maybe I could be a little bit more optimistic. But yeah, I feel like people often mean well, and they want you to get these second opinions because you know, they love you. But, I mean, I have a whole thing. I have platitude bingo. I don't know if you saw that in the book, where a platitude, like, it's a bingo card with, like, everybody says the same thing. Like, everything happens for a reason, or Dr. Oz says do this, or eat kale. And you're just, so I was like, if I hear this stuff one more time. So I just made a bingo card out of it. So you just take your medicine and use it as a marker, and every time someone says, it is what it is, you know, or one of those platitudes, you just, you know, put all your, you know, cover it on the bingo card, and then if you hit bingo, I will send you a certificate. I mean, it's you know, it's funny because, you know, when you're sick, you don't want to have to deal with everybody else's, their emotional questions, you know. I just feel like, and it's okay. I think, you know, it's, you know, when people it's coming from love, but you can always say, you know what, I think I got it. You know, I really don't want to get a second biopsy, because that can sting. And, you know, I think, you know, you could just, you know, define your style for it, of how you're going to live your life. And I guess the big thing is that this is all done in love. People just, when a great guy like you gets sick, you know what? Like, people don't know what to say, because they think, well, oh my gosh, if Bay gets sick, what the hell? How? That's so unfair. Like, and so people react to the fact that, well, if Bay gets sick, well, what the hell? Am I going to get sick? So that's why they try and, like, think, well, oh, you know, maybe Duff got sick because she grew up in New Jersey, or, you know, she worked too hard. Believe me, calling videos on MTV was not hard work. It wasn't like so everybody tries to make up a story, because it just doesn't make sense when a swell guy like you gets sick, you know? And that's what we have to remember is, how, just most people mean well, That's
well,
it.
you
That's what I think.
you would appreciate this then, because you mentioned this earlier. Actually, after I had my my biopsy done, and I woke up and I was in the recovery room and getting ready to get released. I couldn't eat all day, so I was starving. And they're like, "All right, well, here's this and here's this. You're going to go home. You're going to relax. You're going to do this." I'm like, "Can I eat?" They're like, "Well, yeah." I said, "Can I go to Chicky and Pete's? I'm dying for beer and crab fries." They're like, "No, you're going home, and there's no beer, there's no crab fries." I'm like, "Son of a bitch."
Oh, Chicky and Pete's, how much do you love that place?
Oh,
I
come
mean,
on.
it's amazing. And what? I love that Termini. Is that it? Termini Brothers?
Termini pastry,
Yeah.
cannoli cheese, yeah.
Dude, that
South
is
Philly.
the best cannoli I've ever had in my life. And they have what are those wafer things? The pizzelles?
Yes. Oh, you go, girl.
Yeah. When I go to Chicky and Pete's, I always go by the Termini Brothers, and I was like, man, that place looks amazing. And I was just looking at their postcard. I was just making orders for
for Thanksgiving.
For Thanksgiving from Termini. Yeah, I just did it today. So funny, because usually I spend my Thanksgiving at the rink in Aston.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, this year we'll be in Hershey, but I'm in Aston like 4 times a year.
That's crazy. You got to let me know now next time you come down.
I know. We'll meet you at Chicky and Pete's, and I'll buy you that beer and crab fries. So to make up for when you got gypped that time. But you live in a beautiful, beautiful area. I mean, all that beautiful farmland. I mean, I live in New York City, so I always love getting out there. Plus, my sisters and parents live in Doylestown.
Okay, yeah, not far. That's actually close to where my work is, actually.
Yeah, it's about a half hour away. It's nice. I like it out there. I really enjoy
It's a lot different than the
area.
It's a lot different than the city.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know how you do it.
I know. Well, I grew up here. This is what I know. But like my hockey playing son, he just can't wait to get the hell out. He just wants to play hockey all day, and just getting him around the city, just getting him to the rink, and so he's ready to go away to school, which will be kind of fun. So good for him.
Nice.
He loves it. Yeah.
Now,
so
does he see or go and research his mom and see what his mom used to do?
I mean, maybe he's watched 5 minutes of Dumb and Dumber. It's so not like when but it was cute. I dedicated the book to my husband and son, and he on Tuesday when it was released, it I don't want to brag, but Backbone Hit was is number 1 best-selling release, and
that's awesome.
And a kid came in and he was like, "Mom, you're number 1," and that was really amazing. That was incredible to share that with your kid, because he's seen me write this and live this, and that was really a great moment to share with him. And he took me out for Chinese food to celebrate, which was really sweet.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he's
awesome.
A good kid. He's it's funny. So I live in an apartment, and he's a hockey player, and he's a goalie. So we have to just turn one of our bathrooms just into the goalie equipment. And because of sarcoidosis, I don't have any sense of smell, and so I think I forgot to wash his jersey, and I just figured, like Febreze and all of those air freshener laundry cleaners, that's not gonna cut it when you've got a hockey player. So I went online and I bought this stuff called Gorilla Wash, and it's what zookeepers use to hose down the monkey cages. So I bought it and then online, but I forgot to read the instructions, and it came in a big bottle, for Fantastic, like a spray bottle of like Windex, and I sprayed my kid's hockey jersey, and he said that it was Gorilla Wash's. First of all, I should have diluted it with like 10 gallons of water, but I didn't. I said it was so bad. That I've learned that lesson. So I'm not going to be washing my kids' equipment with zoological products anymore.
Well, that could be like a new strategy for for him being a goalie to keep the other team away from trying to get close to do them little stuff shots on them.
It almost melted the ice. It was bad. But and what's really fun is when I was when I'm telling these stories in the book, it's fun to kind of like I was dying. I want the whole world to know of my favorite NHL players with the filthiest names. And so it was really fun to like figure out a way of like, how am I going to get a list of names like Ron Tugnut and Harry Dick and
I'll tell you what, I give you all the credit in the world. You impressed me because as soon as I saw names like that, especially Ron Tugnut, I was like, oh shit, she is really a hockey fan.
I really am. And so, and also, like, honestly, Ron Tugnut is the greatest name ever. That can be your alias when you're traveling, so your fans don't hassle you. But I love, I love the game of hockey. I think like seeing how tough my kid is, really, seeing, if he can stand in front of a net and get, 100-mile-an-hour slap shots, then you know what? I can take a little tiny prednisone pill and not, cry like a bitch all day about it. So I feel like watching hockey has been a great coping strategy. It was funny, like I've been doing a press tour and, people are like, what do you do for, do you do yoga? And, do you sit in a hot, sweaty box? And I was like, no. Like what I do is, I make needlepoint whoopee cushion covers. I watch hockey and I love to read. Like those are my self-care complementary practices. It's not the traditional. And I think whatever you love doing, just do a lot of it. And I think that's a great way to kind of navigate when you're not feeling well.
Okay, here I am.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta love modern technology.
I know. Is Nick there? Is Nick there with you right now?
Nick he's usually the quiet one during the interviews. He's kind of sits back and lets me the whole talk.
Mm-hmm.
He'll chime in from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Nick.
Well,
you talk, Nick.
No, yeah, I mean, usually what I do is I try to just feed Bay information so that he can continue on with the interviews and stuff. And I know he was really excited for this one as well. So it's his show.
Yeah.
I'm just along for the ride.
I know. I wanted to kind of loop you in, but Bay, if there's anything, as we, we both have a ticket. And our tickets seem to have the same stamp that says sarcoidosis. And if there's any way I can help you, just whistle. I'm right here. And if you're, I feel like I'm a veteran at this. I mean, it's only been what, like a year for you?
Yeah, not even 9 months.
Yeah. So yeah, you're a rookie at this, and I'm an old grizzled veteran. And if there's anything I can do to help you, or your listeners, I'm more than happy to help because this is how we're going to get through it, and this is how we're going to find a cure and get research is by all sticking together and each just doing a little bit. So I just want you to know that if there's, coming down the pike, if you're looking at a new treatment, just give me a buzz, because most likely I've tried it, and I could just let you know what my experience has been like, and I just would be happy to, offer that in any way, however I can help.
I truly do appreciate that. And you, instantly, when I first reached out to you, instantly offered words of encouragement. And I honestly, I can never thank you enough, because, I knew you were real and from the heart from the instant you contacted me back. And I was very touched. And honestly, no BS. I can't thank you enough for everything.
No, I really appreciate it. And it just made my day when I saw that I absolutely know, like, exactly where you're from, and I followed your career, and you're doing great work, and
thank you.
Having this show, and you're talking about a wide range of topics, and you know what, like, there are some people, so 116 million Americans live with chronic pain. One out of three lives with a chronic illness. And I bet you've got listeners who are, maybe couldn't get out of bed today. And the one thing they were looking forward to was listening to your show. And so, that's a great gift that you're sharing. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you.
It was really, really nice. I got to go pick up my kid at the rink. So I just wanted to say, I know, hockey, they get all the crazy times during the week. But I just wanted to thank you for having me on, and thank you
Absolutely.
for supporting my book, Backbone. And it has been really, I feel like I'm talking to a friend. And I've never said that in an interview before, but I felt like I've been hanging out with a friend, and that was really lovely. So thank you for reaching out.
Oh, sounds like you might have got disconnected there.
Oh.
But I know you thank you for
you
coming
missed
on.
that whole thing? I was just saying. Okay, can I say it again? Because did you really not hear that, or are you teasing me?
I heard most of it.
Okay. I just wanted to say, like, I really did feel like I was talking to a friend, and so I wanted to thank you, because you've been so warm, and I just want to thank you. You were really one of the first people to support Backbone, so thank you for that. And I would love to come on any other time. And gosh, Kristen
Absolutely.
is fantastic too. I
she's
really
awesome.
enjoyed. Yeah, really, I really enjoyed your show. Please know that. So, thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Bay, and it was really nice meeting you. And have a great night, guys.
You too. Thanks, Duff.
You too.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, there she goes, the one and the only Karen Duffy. Wow. I wanted to get a bumper, but you can tell she had to jump off. She had to go get her kid.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened. She stopped talking, and then I didn't hear you, so I was like, okay, I know how to wrap this up. I'll ask her for a bumper, and Bay will be happy.
Well, you know what? It was the same thing that happened a couple weeks ago when we were talking to Kimberly Bolton. It just died out. The system just died out. I'm still connected and all. It just died out.
You gotta love PTR,
so
man.
I'm on my phone right now. And then my call just dropped on my phone. I just called back in. Craziness. But that's wild, man. She's awesome. Check out. And it's this very this. Anymore, I'm really not a person to physically read a book all about. It's close to 250 pages, and I read it in like 3 days. So that's quite impressive for me. But honestly, I kept saying, Nick, I'm like, as I'm reading it, because she has a real like what's that word? Harsh sense of humor. Right, yeah. And I just kept saying to myself, Nick would get a kick out of this. He would totally get a kick out of this. And she's very, like, as I was reading it last night, I even said, I turned to Jess at one point and said to her, like, I'm a little intimidated as well because you can just tell by reading it, she's very smart. She's not that goofy, quirky person you saw on MTV 20-something years ago. She's actually a very educated and smart person. And I'm like, wow, like, it's kind of intimidating because I am not that person at all. You know what I mean? I'm the exact opposite. And Jess was like, well, who's smarter, me or her? I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're both smarter than me. That's all I know.
That's a loaded question, man. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Your answer should have been just, oh, so you want to fight tonight?
But go check her out. Check out that book. It's called Backbone. #1 bestseller on Amazon right now, which is freaking awesome. And I wanted to ask her too, like, book signings. She's got to be doing like some book signings. And I saw actually a picture of her doing a book signing somewhere. I wish she was doing some like in this area or something. So, or maybe she'll be doing them at hockey rinks. Yeah.